Hey everybody, how you doing? My friends call me Dave. You can call me Daveypoo, the mobile music minstrel. I'm doing a quick video here on how to do a funk beat. Okay, I like electro-funk music. For those of you that don't know, that's pretty much all that I do is make electro-funk or synth-funk or funktronica, whatever you want to call it. That's basically what I do. And I'm going to go through a quick video on how I do my workflow. So, I'm going to assume that you guys know a lot of this stuff already. So the first thing we're going to do here is I'm going to open up AUM. AUM is awesome. For those of you that don't own it, I think it's $18 American. That's a little steep, but just go for it. It's so worth doing. You got to suck it up. It'll sting in the short term, but it'll be great in the long term. So here's how I start setting things up. I open up two channels. Usually on the left, I have the thing that is being played, which in this instance will be Beathawk as a drum machine. And over here, I'm going to open up Rozeta by Brambos. It's a sequencer suite that's, again, wonderful. There's 9 sequencers in there for one price. It's brilliant. It has changed my workflow. Bram, you're the man. Thank you so much for giving me a solution that's not iMachine. I used to use iMachine exclusively. Oh, here I'm connecting Rozeta XOX to Beathawk, so you can see what's going on. That's telling Beathawk that is going to be played by Rozeta XOX. So I used to use iMachine all the time. I loved it, and then I moved to iMachine 2, but the problem with iMachine is it doesn't really play well with other apps. It's hard to get the audio out. It's hard to, you can't really sync it with other things. You can't use it in conjunction with other things. So I had to move away from it. And with Rozeta, I finally found a solution. So I'm going to do a quick, simple 4 on the floor beat. Kick drum, 4 beats, snare drum on 2 and 4, claps on 4. Okay, we already made sure that this Beathawk was being controlled by Rozeta. I'm going to load up. That I made from samples I have classic drum machines in here. So I've already done this video twice and failed. So for the first one, I used the Oberheim DMX. For the second one, I used the Lin LM1. I'm going to go with an Alesis SR16 classic drum machine from the, I think, late 80s. Load all. Okay, pretty straightforward. I think I might use that though. We might go for a big 80s sound. Okay, so this XOX should be controlling Beathawk. It is. I'm going to change one thing. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change the notes. Now, if you notice, first of all, I like hosting AUV3s. State saving is wonderful. It makes all of this so much easier to save. Here, if I change the note of the kick of the things here, you can see it's playing different sounds. Okay? So, I just moved it so that instead of it being kick drum 1, which is up here, I have it now on kick drum 2, which is down here. And I'm going to do the same for the snare. Now, that beat doesn't quite work with this drum sound, so we're gonna change this up a little bit. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. That's a little busy. No. There we go. Okay, so that's a good one. Okay, it's pretty sparse, it's pretty spare, it's pretty straightforward. It's not super complicated. Now, what I am going to do on here is I'm going to add some hi-hat on the offbeats. I'm going to turn down the velocity a little bit so that it's not so in your face, and I'm going to shuffle this a little bit to give it a little swing. Now, we're going to bring that hi-hat down a little bit more. It's a little dry because it doesn't have any reverb on it, and the samples of the drums have reverb on them automatically. Okay, so we're going to start here. Now, I'm going to create another 2 tracks, and then over here I'm going to put bass line. Okay, start with the drums, now we go to bass line. Now for some hardcore 80s-ness, we're going to go and use KQ Dixie. KQ Dixie just came out in the last few weeks. It plays It's a 6-operator FM synthesizer, very much like a Yamaha DX7. It's not quite a DX7, but man alive, for those of you that don't care about the finer points of a DX7, I don't care. This is as close as I need it to be. When you get things in a track, a lot of those finer details get lost sometimes. So, or you can make them up in some ways. Now, don't get me wrong, software synths, when you put them side by side with the real analog thing, sure, the analog is of course going to sound better. But for our purposes here, who cares? Am I having fun? I'm having a blast, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going into KQ Dixie now. I am going to choose the classic bass sound. The most 80s of all bass sounds, okay? And everybody knows this sound. Okay, there you go. So, we know what that bass sound is, right? So let's get a bass line going. First of all, we got to tell KQ Dixie, that we want it to be played by bass line, and then we're going to just generate a bass line. Now, I am going to set this at 16 steps. It gives it a little more time for the bass line to be a little funkier and less repetitive. There we go. We're going to do this in E. E is the lowest note on a bass guitar. So on a regular 4-string standard bass guitar, the open string is an E, and that's the lowest note. So this is going to give us something akin to what a bass player would play, but it's not entirely what a synthesizer bass player would play, not entirely what a real bass player would play. It's somewhere in the middle. And I'm going to choose E minor pentatonic. It's classic funk bass material. Okay. Now that's a little all over the map. Let's try that one again. Now, let's get this down a little bit. Let's hear what we're doing here. That's not bad. That's cool. Now, using random can generate some really wild results, and not all of them are usable, so you have to use your own judgment. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and I'm going to raise this by an octave, just to make it a little less deep in the Now all I'm doing here is I'm just taking these notes, I'm just raising a few select ones by an octave so that they're a little more listenable. Now this is, hold on, that was not supposed to be. Okay, that's not bad. But I think we can do better. Now that's a little low. What do we do if we go like this? Now that's cool. Now that ends up being in B. So let's okay, that's cool. We're gonna live with that. Now, we're gonna make this a little more interesting by fattening it up with some FAC Chorus. And that already gave us some sauce. Look at that. And then we go over here and we throw in a little Maxima. And we've already got something groovy. Alright, so we're almost at 10 minutes. I'm going to add one more thing and show you one more trick that I use. Okay, so we're going to add another pair of 2. Over here we're going to do particles. And we're going to do Neo Soul keys. Now I'm going to use a funk music secret here. Clavinet will make everything sound better if you do it right. So let's load up a clavinet here. Now if you don't have Neo Soul keys, or honestly if you don't have one of these apps, if there's one of these that you don't have, you can always substitute it with something else. Okay, none of these sounds are intrinsic to the style. You just kind of have to find something that you like. So I'm gonna pick a clavinet over here, CA2. The CA, CB, DA, and all that, those are different pickup configurations for the clavinet. So a clavinet is like a harpsichord, but with guitar strings on the inside. When you hit a key, a little plectrum comes up and plucks the string. Well, the sound is picked up by guitar pickups on the inside, and so those are the different configurations of the two pickups that are in there. So, when I throw in the clavinet, I throw it in with particles. Particles will bounce around a lot, and it'll kind of play itself. If you set the quantize to 16th notes and you kick up the speed, okay, so let's solo this for a second. So, this kind of sounds like a jumbled mess, but check it out. Spread it out a little bit. Get the pitch set up, and let's put it in the same key. Now, this other bass line over here, when we generated it, it was in E, but notice that the note that it lands on is B. So, we're going to have to kind of emulate being in B here, because that's the key that the bass line ended up generating it in. So I like that. I want to drop the speed a little bit. Alright, so let's see how that... Alright, so that's not bad. That's not bad. So, but we need to give it a little extra flavor. So, here's another trick of mine. Throw in some sort of a filter. Now, I like DubFilter. Here's what's going on. Apesoft and Amazing Noises are developers that make these amazing apps, and you can assign an oscillator. See how the filter and the overlap are going nuts, as is the envelope speed? Okay, these are... You can assign an oscillator to any knob by double tapping it, okay? And coming over to this crazy little funky icon in the upper right corner. Now, this is a little wacky. I'm going to tame the range a little bit and slow the speed down a little bit so it's a little less wacky. I'm going to do the same with the overlap here. And then I'm going to kick the gain up so that we're getting more of the original signal through here, and then I can dial it down in AUM, and I'm going to back off. And then, lastly, I'm going to throw a little reverb on here with AOS 2 from Audio Damage. Now, you ready? And there we go. In 13 minutes, we've got a pretty straightforward funk groove. Okay? Now, I know I blew through a lot of things there, but you know, it's really simple to get something easy going. If you have a couple of ideas, okay, dance beats are pretty easy to make. If you open something up in XOX, you can always do a 4 on the floor beat. Oh, I'm messing up the hi-hat. Ha. Let's go with this. Go back to the... Okay, now that's just kick drum on the downbeats, hi-hat on the offbeats, snare on the 2 and 4, clap on the 4. I think I got an extra kick drum hit in here, but I mean, even without something, you know, a little more syncopated than that, man, this is super hip. And there I go. I got a funk groove. So I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to do more of these iOS-specific videos. Once again, my name is Dave. You can call me Daveypoo, the mobile music minstrel. Please like the video. If you like the channel, subscribe to the channel. Send me notes. Comment in the sections below. Do all the standard YouTube stuff. and I hope to see you guys back here soon. We'll have some more videos for you. Check out Tiny Lion's Big World is our family blog. We've got my wife who's doing a written blog. She's going to do some paintings. My son's going to do a cheese blog. I'm going to have some traveling stuff and some music stuff up there, and have a funky good time, guys.